Welcome time travelers and welcome new time travelers. As always, if you're new to this channel and enjoy learning about history, one event at a time, don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today, we're going to start out in 1194 when Richard I, the Lionheart, was crowned King of England for the second time, after earlier surrendering his kingdom to the Holy Roman Emperor Henry VI. 1521 is when Martin Luther appeared before the Diet of Worms to defend his idea on church reform. 1790, American printer, publisher, author, inventor, scientist, and diplomat Benjamin Franklin, who was one of the foremost of the founding fathers, passed away at the age of 84. Moving on to 1895, when the Treaty of Shimonoseki concluded the First Sino-Japanese War. Which ended the Chinese defeat. On this date in 1951, American baseball player Mickey Mantle made his MLB debut as an outfielder for the New York Yankees. 5 years later, in 1956, the CONIFORM, the International Communist Information Bureau, founded in 1947, was disbanded as a part of a Soviet program of reconciliation with Yugoslavia. 1961 brought us Cuban leader Fidel Castro's forces repelled the Bay of the Pigs invasion, which was led by recent Cuban exiles and financed by the U.S. government during the Cold War. Our next stop will be in 1970 when the Apollo 13 command module carrying James A. Love Jr., Fred W. Hayes Jr., and John L. Swigert Jr. entered Earth's atmosphere and splashed down, ending one of the most tense chapters in space history. 4 days earlier, an oxygen tank had exploded, threatening the lives of the 3 astronauts. Now, 5 years later, in 1975, Cambodia's ruling Lon Nol government collapsed and communist forces of the Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot, entered Phnom Penh and forcibly dispersed its citizenry into rural areas. The Canadian Act, also known as the Constitution Act, took effect on this day in 1982, establishing certain individual rights, preserving preliminary supremacy, and making Canada a wholly independent, fully sovereign state. In 2003, Anel Janetti was sworn in as Prime Minister of Finland, which thereby became the second country after New Zealand to install a woman as head of state, of both state and government. 2011 is when the hugely popular TV show Game of Thrones, which was based on George R.R. Martin's fantasy book series, A Song of Ice and Fire, debuted on HBO. 3 years later, in 2014, Cuban novelist Gabriel Garcia Marquez, winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature and widely considered one of the greatest writers of the 20th century, passed away at the age of 87. And finally, in 2018, American First Lady Barbara Bush, wife of George H.W. Bush, the 41st President of the United States, and mother of George W. Bush, 43rd President of the United States, passed away at the age of 92. And finally, that will bring us back to 2024 and our current history. Until next time.